Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Melissa Pepin and Corry Fraser, the co-founders of the business Reboot. Melissa and Corry work with female entrepreneurs to help them grow and scale their businesses in a way that supports their life and not overwhelm it. Their approach focuses on redefining what's already there rather than consulting starting over, helping business owners create more sustainable, profitable businesses without burnout. Melissa and Corry, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having us. We're really excited.
We are very excited. It's a pleasure to have you both here, and I'm very much excited to dive in and obviously learn a little bit more about yourselves and your journey today. With all of my guest guys, I do actually like to start at the beginning of the journey. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what you was both up to before you started up the business Reboot, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
I love that. We're so excited to be here, and thank you for having us. Corry and I both started as photographers. We owned photography companies. Now it's been about 2 decades each, and we still have those companies, but they are subsidiary to what we do together. We spent the early 2010 to 2018 diving into speaking and leading conferences and workshops and things like that with other organizations. And we knew each other from there. We knew of each other, but it wasn't until 2020 that we had a connecting point and decided that we wanted to do more post pandemic to help creative entrepreneurs really step into leadership and expand their businesses, because we watched a lot of people who are really excellent at what they do close their doors, and it just felt really bad. We felt like if they knew the basics and they knew how to grow and scale and pivot in a way that was built around their life and the life that they actually wanted, instead of chasing success that the internet and people around you may tell you as markers of success, then they would still be open and people could still be gleaning from all of their expertise. We were photographers who moved into leadership roles, and then we started our company together.
Beautiful stuff. And naturally, I think both coming from a creative background, you understand the nuances and how hard it is to set up a business. And I speak to a lot of founders myself, and they are very much amazing at what they do. They're specialists in their field, but a lot of people lack that kind of knowledge or that aspect when it comes into how you actually make money from that or how you even develop a business in the first place. And yeah, just leaning into that shiny object syndrome that you're talking about there, it is so much within that hustle culture at the moment. We need to redefine our version of success. And in that tree of entrepreneurs, you're in such a great position to bend that around your life, to build something that you are proud of and something that suits you, your family, whoever it may be moving forward. And I take it you both had inklings to be entrepreneurs, or did that just develop as you guys met each other and then realized that you had an opportunity to help other people in a very similar way?
The trauma response,
I was
really.
going to say, a lot of times entrepreneurship is a trauma response. I will say, I have a background in education. I have a master's in curriculum and instruction, and that plays out in a lot of the things that we do now. But you're talking about, especially female founders, a lot of times we come to business because there's a need, whether there are family dynamics, whether there is a move. I happened to be living in Hawaii as a military spouse and could not get a teaching job, and ended up starting a photography business. There was a hole in the market, and I kind of dove in head first. And back to what you were speaking about in terms of, you can be really great at whatever it is that you do, your field, your area of expertise, your knowledge base. But if you're not a phenomenal business owner and can't figure out how to run a business, Melissa and I were amazing photographers, but we had to be better business owners than actually photographers, or we wouldn't have been in business for decades. And so I think that's what we continued to find in conversations with people, was that they were really great at the skill that they were the expert in, or had a passion for the thing that they were wanting to teach, lead, talk through. But the business side of things where they were getting stuck. And so Melissa and I, on the speaking circuit and in the leadership roles that we had, we kept noticing that the same people got the mic, and the same people were always on the stages leading and teaching and helping people learn how to run a business and do it really well. And we were like, you know what? there needs to be some different conversations brought to the forefront. We were both over 40 and thought, you know what, there are a lot of us who are coming out of corporate or coming out of first careers or starting businesses or had started businesses and been running them for quite a while. We were like, there's a lot, especially in the creative world, there was a lot of younger people rising to the top very quickly. And we were like, we need a seat at this table too, because we've been here for so long. And we wanted that over 40 voice to also be at the table.
Beautiful. I love that dynamic coming in. And even just to piggyback off what you said with women, I feel like women tend to struggle a little bit more with that business mindset than what men do. And it's not something that's taught in schools. It's not something that's taught in any kind of education form when you are growing up or even going through college. So just having that nuance and having someone they can rely on must be a big asset for them in their own businesses. And as you say, they are setting them up sometimes out of need, where it is they're looking after their families at home and they just need that little bit of extra income, something else coming in, or even in your case, Corey, as you say, moving around a lot, you can't find that job that suits you when your husband is obviously in the military. So there are those needs coming into it, but definitely the support needs to be there for women in business. So I'm glad that you guys ripped the mic out of the hand and took that for yourself and taking it forward, which is really cool. So let's dive into the business reboot a little bit more, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. I take it what you're around, did you say throughout COVID was when this kind of idea blossomed and started from there? Am I correct in saying so?
Yeah, it was the beginning of
Yeah.
2021, actually. We were at a place in life where Corey's husband was getting ready to retire from the military. She has daughters that I think the youngest were starting college. Mine were in middle school and starting high school now. Mine are both in high school and hers are graduated and all adults on their own. And we basically just said, we're at this kind of pivotal point in our life and the world's opening back up again. If we're going to do it, let's dive in now. And it became this 2021 became this great equalizer where it didn't matter what you had done before. If you wanted to start something new or start over, we were those people too. And we said we want to dig into what it would look like to create something new here. And that's really where we dove in.
I love that.
And I will also say, piggybacking off what Melissa said, we also watched a lot of people close their businesses during that period of time. And it was because their business was not able to pivot. They were not able to shift, grow, change, ideate a new way to serve and continue their business. And so we were like, well, these are dynamic businesses that
it was devastating. It was, I will never forget watching online and seeing, oh my gosh, this other creator he's closed his doors, or this person is closing their doors. And we watched it and it was so sad. And here's the deal. We also will be those people that will say, kill it when it's dead. Like when you don't want to do it anymore, close the doors. But if I always say, go out on top, go out at the best you could possibly be and let it be a choice instead of it being forced. We didn't want anybody being forced to close.
Yeah, and COVID was that pivotal time for a lot of people. Obviously, you saw a lot of people gain a lot of success throughout COVID, as you're saying, start up their own businesses, allowing them to move into a field that suited their life way more. And naturally, for others, they wasn't going out on top. It really much sunk them into the hole that it was very hard to get out of. So it was like you had the two halves of one coin throughout COVID, which all over the world was impacted in a very similar way. So again, just nice that you guys were able to build something and blossom from that experience, taking it further. So at this point in, who would you say is your ideal client? Who is it that you guys really love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them? And how do you support them along their own journey?
We work with a lot of women, not exclusively women. We have a couple of guys that they were like, we know you don't typically serve men, but could you? Because we need help. We had a wonderful client. He's an electrician. We were like, we can help you. But we primarily work with women. I think we all have unique set of, and you mentioned some of them earlier in our conversation, of unique challenges, unique advantages in some ways too. But we find working with women has been where we typically land. And some of the ways that we help them, we do a lot of coaching. And in that coaching, we also have added another path. A way to work with us is done for you services, because what we were noticing was that we could teach people to do something all day long, or we could advise, we could coach. But if you don't have the capacity to actually get those things done, then sometimes being able to take something off of their plate. And that was something that we teach people, like extending that client journey. What are ways that you can continue to serve the clients that you already have? Is there another offer? Is there something that you could add on for that client journey? And that's literally what we did. And that's how we got to where we are now, is that basically there are two paths to work with us. We can coach you and teach you and help you get really the back end really set up for mindset and strategy and launching the new offers, getting your pricing dialed in, and and then the visibility. How are you marketing it? Where are you showing up? In-person networking, but then also online. What does it look like? What does your website look like? Is it your copy converting? All of those things, we can teach you how to do those. But then there are some things that we can just take off your plate, because we watched these high capacity women that were big movers and shakers that were working with us not be able to handle all of the nuances. And we were like, is there something we can take off your plate? And they were like, actually, yes. So we looked at what are our areas of expertise? What are the things that are in our wheelhouse that we can really do with our eyes closed? And let's take that on for them. And so some of our coaching clients became some of our done for you clients.
Amazing stuff. Yeah. And I think that obviously naturally develops throughout the journey. As you say, you realize you can help people, but teaching people can only go so far. Either way, you're very much setting them up. You're very much teaching a man, woman how to fish. You're putting those structures in place for them, or physically giving them the advice of how they can do it themselves. So either way, it's a great position to be in, and just ultimately to utilizing that business in the best way that is possible for them as well. So meeting them at their needs and moving forward. Melissa, what would you say is your style or your approach to coaching within the business? Do you very much get in the trenches with your clients as well and take it like that?
Yeah, it is. We get into the ugly at first, but it is okay. It goes back to really the philosophy about when we started the business Reboot. We were people who would pay thousands and thousands of dollars to work with coaches or to go to programs and be a part of conferences and things like that and retreats. And we loved it. We loved watched these untouchable leaders who really they would pull back their hand the second the dollar stopped, and it was just super discouraging because a lot of times, especially when it's women only events, they will play to the relational side of things, the friendships, the bonding. And for us, we watched it and it was just disheartening because both of us are empaths at the heart of it, and we really just want to show up and serve people. So for us, we said if we're going to do this, we want people to feel safe with us. We want them to feel like we're the same that they get in person, that they'll get online, because we are too old and too busy to create multiple personalities for ourselves. So what you get is what you get. And that really is how it starts. So people come to us and we call it dumping the purse. We want you to dump out your purse and tell us everything that's going on, the good, the bad, the ugly. We want the numbers. Know that there's no morality attached to numbers and sales and things like that. And we just want us to dump it all out and then figure out where everything's going to fit in different compartments and what you want to actually put back in your purse, because inevitably there's going to be like a half-eaten granola bar and maybe some old church gum that tastes like perfume because it's just a half a piece that you tore and you threw the rest in your bag, and then
Random earring.
there's going to be a pin that the spring has come out of and the ink is all on the bottom. It can be really messy in there, but for us, we get to come in and help organize and figure out what you want to keep in there and what you don't. And yeah, it's extremely hands-on. And I will say, before we started the Done For You segment, because the business Reboot has been multiple iterations over the last 5 years, we actually started as a retreat for photographers. And we did the very first retreat during COVID. We had a surge at the time, had people cancel and not come in because they were sick and they were watching via video. And it was like, it was disastrous. But we walked in the door of that house that we had our first retreat, and we looked at each other and we said, this is shifting today. It's going to be open to all entrepreneurs. And then from that shift, we did another retreat and it went great. We opted for a third one and it didn't sell. And we sat there and we were like, maybe that's, what do we do now? And so we reiterated the goals that we had. We looked at each other, we looked at what was happening in the market, and we decided, why don't we condense this down and make it something that's a little longer than a one-time experience? So we created a mastermind, and it sold out for $30,000 for our first mastermind. And we knew at that point that coaching was as a thing that we needed to start offering. We resisted it at first, but we used that to dig in. And then again, more iterations. We pitched for a second mastermind. It didn't sell, but we got phone calls from people saying what we want is not time together collectively with a group of people. We want one-on-one access. And so we said, all right, let's dig it out. And honestly, for us, our faith is really important. And so we did this whole lay out a fleece before God thing where we said, if this happens, then we'll know this is the thing that's supposed to happen next. And when it happened, we just looked at each other and said, well, done. We know what's next. And so we started coaching, and that iteration lasted. It started snowballing for what's now. And so every season, every year or so, we're adding in and refining more. And that's what a lot of businesses that we saw close were missing. And so we teach our clients to do we get to be like 5 steps ahead of the people that we serve.
Yeah.
We just have been in it so long that we know how to ride those waves. And a lot of might be really sparse and you're going to panic, but you don't need to panic because it's been this way every year. But by October, you're so slammed that you can't function and you're going, I need a break. And you just have to learn to ride the waves of business. And that's what we help our clients do.
Love it. Yeah. And as like Corey said at the start, you added on that done for you. So you have pivoted so much. You're walking in the same footsteps as your clients, but you're allowing them to introduce new offers, change what needs to be happen. As you say, get into that handbag. We can keep what you want, and then from there we can iterate what goes in. Maybe we can add another half of a granola bar just to add on to the experience and move on from there, which is really cool aspect. One thing I'm very curious to find out though, naturally it's a very busy world at the moment. Like how do you guys go about acquiring your own customers? So in terms of channels or methods, what are you finding most effective at the moment and just finding those right people to work with?
I think for us, a lot of it has come from personal networking, from being
Mm.
kind of boots on the ground, if you will, in our communities. But also, we have so many connections nationally, but also worldwide, just because of the leadership roles that we've had in years past. So we still maintain those friendships, those connections, and dare we say TikTok?
Yeah. We decided to do one TikTok video and it brought us 50 grand worth of clients. It worked and hardly anybody saw it, but it worked for us. Yeah.
And I think too, it is one of those things where I think when you show up and you serve really well, referrals always come in. And I will say this, we are not the people who are viral on social. We don't do ads, we don't do a ton of marketing funnels. We are, if nothing else, consistent. And and I think that we serve really well. And so the people that work with us stay typically
Yeah.
for a long time. And then, and again, like Melissa said, we are those untouchable, we're not those untouchable leaders. We are the leaders that integrate into life and business and are trusted advisors in many areas of life and business. But then also they feel safe enough to refer us. And so that's where a lot of our clients come in from. And we've also had clients that have been like, I've been watching you guys for years, and they've kind of been on the sidelines. But I think that it's that consistency in showing up daily, weekly, monthly, annually that people are drawn to.
Yeah, 100%. And Dare, we mentioned TikTok, but TikTok has this cult following compared to other platforms. You do just post one thing and sometimes it just explodes and there's no kind of just reason behind it. But it's just, as you say, staying on top of that consistency and riding that wave where you can. TikTok is such a weird platform in doing so, but a very new one that's here to stay. And yeah, referrals, just so kudos to the work you are doing. I think just hope most founders wish they was more consistent or you have more coming through. So it's just building on top of that where you can. And do you intentionally not run ads or not push that marketing front, or is that just something where you're just putting your efforts somewhere else at the moment?
We're both located in the South, and
Yeah.
I will tell you this is always the example we use, but there are small little, they look like shacks on the side of the road that are like barbecue joints that are only open from Wednesday to Sunday, like 11 to 3. And we take the mentality that a lot of those little shops do. They're not on stools, they're barely on Facebook maybe. And they've been there since it was called the Facebook, and they have zero design. They were in the yellow pages, but they don't do anything other than have a stellar product that people drive for miles and miles to get to, and they sell out every time. Corey and I, in this second phase of life, we have something that a lot of people would probably look down on us for having this opinion, but for us it is our gold standard. But we were the people that I always wanted to be in the pickup line when my kids got out of school. I grew up with a single mom. I saw her work 3 or 4 jobs just to make sure that we had food on the table. And I became an entrepreneur really young, Corey as well. She already had babies. I did not yet, but our business grew as our life grew. And there were just non-negotiables. I wanted to be in the car pickup line. I want to be at every volleyball game, every track meet, every science fair. I want to be involved and at all of those things, because at the end of the day, the business is amazing, the money is amazing, but my family, that's the stuff and that's what we tell our clients. That's the most important. No business is worth me putting above my family. And so neither one of us have these deep-seated 7-figure business dreams, because we know what it'll cost to get there. And when I tell you we hustled hard and we were leaders in our industry, in our areas, for over a decade, both of us. I was in wedding photography for 16 years. Corey was at the helm of all things incredible senior portrait photography for years. And she moved into branding, and it was crazy and amazing. And I did portraiture, and we still both have these companies and we still shoot occasionally, but now it's moved into us doing branding work for our actual clients that we serve through email marketing and content mapping. But we just don't have the desire to hustle the way that we did when we were younger. And so for us, we want the clients that are going to stay with us a really long time, that are going to allow us to become embedded into the heart of their own companies. And we want to be those skilled advisors that are going to be able to reach in and help as much as we can. And we want those longstanding relationships. Doesn't have to be everybody. We're not made for everybody, but we have found that the ones that come to us via personal connection, or we've got a podcast that we've had for almost 3 years that listen to us every week and connect with us. We want to be with the people that we're for. And so it has yet to require us to run ads or sell things that are not going to be less handholdy, if that makes sense.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. And as you say, it goes back to what we were talking about at the start of the podcast, what you help your clients with. You're very much walking that walk, talking and talk. You're building that business around your life. Even we mentioned before we logged on, Corry, you're celebrating a new birth in the family, which is a really cool aspect. And I suppose as entrepreneurs, as business owners, you allow your calendar, your time to make time for your life. So it's just building the two together. And I don't believe in work-life balance. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I feel like there just has to be a harmony between the two. You have to enjoy your life at work and enjoy your life at home. And if they come together in a great way, you can't be like stretching your time between one or the other and thinking that you're going to survive long term in that aspect.
Well,
So, yeah.
and in fact, it's funny that you say that, because that's one of the very first questions, like Melissa was saying, when we have clients that start working with us and we dump the purse. And the first question that we always say is, what do you want? What do you want? And we will continue to ask
They can't answer. They don't know.
They're like, I'm not sure. We're like, we can't help you build something if you don't know what it needs to look like, not only for the life that you want, the business that you want, the money that you need, the family life, like you said, the work-life balance. That is something that is just impossible, I feel like. And every season requires a different iteration of who you are, as well as what your business is. And in fact, what you just mentioned, I'm here in Hawaii for 2 months. But we have a business that allows us, I get up at 4 a.m. so that I am on calls for East Coast time, and then I'm done by 11 or 12. And now I'm here helping my daughter who's ready to have a baby. And then I'll be here for some postpartum weeks. But we have intentionally, our clients know that I'm here. I'm still showing up and doing the work. But Melissa, again, she was talking about carpool line. We have always built a business like that. So we don't need to run ads because we're not looking for a 7-figure scalable business. We have a multi-6-figure business. And it gives us an amazing impact. It gives us an amazing income, but it also gives us an amazing life. And for us, what's the point of all of this? If you lose your marriage, lose your family, lose your health, lose your sanity, then what's it for? And so we really, as founders, really try to help our clients see that as well. What do you want this to be? And then let's help you build the business around the life that you're living.
I love it. And it goes back to, I think I said at the start as well, it's redefining your version of success. And it's a very easy question to ask and a very hard question to answer. So keep putting it out. But we have run out of time for chatting. I could talk to you guys all day long, but thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do?
Yes, you can find us on our website at thebusinessreboot.com. You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. We have one called the Business Reboot Podcast, and we're on all socials at the Business Reboot.
Amazing stuff. And thank you again both for joining me. I really appreciate your time today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out the Business Reboot. Check out Melissa Pepin, Corry Fraser. Drop them both a message. I'm sure they would love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we'll see you on the next one.